right, perfect. Good to see everybody here. Everybody should have the agenda before them. We're going to start with agenda item number recognition. We meet today on settled indigenous land, which is traditional territory of the Chinookan peoples of Wasco, Wishram, Warm Spring, and Grand Ronde tribes. Let us honor this land as traditional native stewards, past, present, and future, and strive today to embody a commitment to cultural equity and reconciliation, ecological conservation, and sustainability. I hereby call this meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Tia, will you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Greg, Chair.
Here.
Megan, Vice Chair. Here. Tamara, Secretary.
Here.
Jim.
Here.
Elazar. Gisela.
Here.
And Matt.
Here. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Staff, you requested a change to the agenda item for no union contract?
Correct.
Okay. So you requested to move agenda item number 8. Is there a motion to do that?
I'll move to remove section remove agenda item 8.
Thank you, Matt. We have a second? Thank you very much. Any further discussion? I'm sure you're probably going to talk about the director report a little bit. I guess you can't talk in detail.
I can't talk in detail.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, chair votes aye. On to agenda item number 3, approval of the July 16th minutes. They're included in your packet. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read through them. Any changes, corrections anybody wants to make? Okay, not hearing any. We'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
Appreciate it, Megan. Do we have a second? Tamara, we'll take that as a second, maybe?
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, chair votes aye. Minutes have been approved from the last meeting. Do we have any public here for comment? Not seeing any. We'll move on to agenda item number 5. This is a big moment. He has to stand up. He's all dressed up for today too.
Hopefully somebody has
Oath of office for
This is
Matt.
Hood River dressed up, right? Okay. I, your name, no, sorry. I, Matt Altoff, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, the laws thereof, and the policies of Hood River County Transportation District, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of director according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
I practiced.
Thank you. Welcome back to the board.
Thank you very much.
All right. Will, you are up with the West Side Metrics presentation,
Excellent, thank you.
and welcome.
Thanks, yeah. Is there a way that I can control the slides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but does that work for you?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Pack and members of the board. I appreciate your time today to share a final draft of our West Side District's performance and equity metrics. The West Side District was created, West Side Urban Renewal District is our newest district, created in, see, come up on a presentation. Oh, I've got the control. So it was created in 2023, has a maximum indebtedness, and that's just another way of saying its expenditure authority of $146.7 million. And it's about 406 acres. And that's the boundary there, just to, so we all just kind of get a sense of what we're talking about. It's, you know, all the most undeveloped land over on the west side, as well as the business corridor along Cascade Avenue. And we created this district to address housing, parks and trails, transportation, and equity needs over on the west side. So we had a lot of existing plans at our housing affordability strategy, the parks multi-jurisdictional master plan, transportation system plan, all already done, adopted, but without funding. So they were unfunded plans, and so tax increment financing is one method that we could support our existing plans. And then we also added as something that we want to track equity metrics to make sure that while we're investing all this money into the west side, that we do it in a way that's equitable, doesn't displace current residents, make sure that Hood River is still has a diversity of incomes and just a a rich fabric that we don't inadvertently disturb that with a bunch of public investment. So we, as we're getting going, we wanted to create quantitative goals with clear benchmarks as to what would be kind of bad, good, or exceptional at the outset. One, to track our performance, but also as a communication tool to overlapping districts like the CAP board that is foregoing some growth of tax increment over on the west side in order to support these goals. So it's a way of communicating and being accountable to all of you as well. And so I'm going to present these metrics today. A lot of work and thought has gone into them, but they're not adopted yet. And so there's still opportunity for input, and I hope to get any thoughts or suggestions that I can bring to the Urban Renewal Agency board before this is finalized. And then once finalized, I expect to report back to everyone once a year. So first up is growing taxable value. Right? That's the business we're in at the end of the day. And if we're not growing taxable value, that's really there's no fuel in the engine to fund any of our other investments or other goals or further anything that the West Side District wants to do. And growing taxable value is also part of our fiduciary duty to the overlapping districts. So this is a graph of how of the West Side District specifically and how quickly taxes have grown in the area. And it's been pretty morbid, about a little over 4% growth rate, which is barely above the 3% that you get under measures 5 and 50, even if nothing's happening at all. That really is an example that the West Side is just locked up. Its lack of transportation infrastructure is just making development and growth infeasible on the West Side without some help and some intervention. So if we were to be as successful on the West Side at growing tax increment as we were in the waterfront, we would grow tax increment at 15% growth rate. That's our exceptional measure. And then 4% would be basically having no effect at all. And so that would be poor. And then we put good as being kind of in the middle. We think that's reasonable because the waterfront was just sort of the perfect set of circumstances. A lot of undeveloped land in a really desirable place, just line a match and it explodes in development. But the West Side has a little bit more challenge, and it's also has a certain amount of development already there. So stop me at any point with any questions on these. So getting into the first goal of increasing housing, we want to grow to the full extent of what the capacity of the West Side is by 2052, and that's the expected lifespan of the West Side District. And so to achieve that, be about 45 units per year built every year from now through 2052, and that would be full build out of the West Side. We have been averaging over the last decade about 3 units per year, so just totally undershooting the need in Hood River. That little bump that you see in 2011, that was Hood River Crossing being built. So that wasn't even naturally market provided housing. That was the Housing Authority building a regulated affordable housing complex.
Do you know what the total city?
Units is? I don't know.
I see a lot of infill and heights, but not.
Yeah. Probably just take the population and divide by 2 or 3 because of average household size.
Okay.
Yeah. And then other than just broadly increasing housing availability, we also want to make sure that we had more regulated affordable housing, so income restricted housing that the market just isn't going to provide housing for people making less than 60% of area median income. So we have Mariposa Village under construction, but we want to do at least 2 more of those through the life of the district. And so that's where you see it bumping up in the number of units. Right now, all there is the Hood River Crossing. So that's where we're at, I think, about 48 units. And then we'll get another 130 units once Mariposa Village is built. But then it's really on us to start working on the next one. And hopefully, if we're increasing housing supply, it should have some impact on attainability. And so housing affordability isn't just the price of a home, but it's the price of the home relative to your ability to pay for it. And so what we are looking at here is median home value to median household income. And a rule of thumb is about 3-to-1 to 6-to-1 what is affordable to folks. So buying a house that's 3 times what your household income is, up to 6 times what your household income is. That's just, there's no magic to that. It's just kind of a real estate rule of thumb. Depends on interest rates and all sorts of other things. But we were at about a 6-to-1 ratio back in 2012. And then we hit an all-time low in affordability in 2022, and the median household income was $710,000, but the median house price was $710,000, but household income was only $70,000. So if we're successful, this should improve. We are promoting through one of our incentives is to provide direct incentives for houses that are small, average or smaller, that use our middle housing standards. And so hopefully people take us up on that. The average house size should drift downward. Back in 1990, the average house size was 2,000 square feet, but for the average of the last 5 years on the west side, been about 2,600. And all else held equal, a smaller home is cheaper than a bigger home, both in price, but also the cost to heat it, cool it, live in it. So that's housing. So moving forward into parks. So we want to invest, grow, develop, but we want to maintain the high quality of life that people in Hood River are accustomed to. And so that's where the parks and trails comes into play. So borrowing from the Parks Multi-Jurisdictional Master Plan, they have a goal in that plan of every house being within a half-mile walk shed to a park. So that's not as the crow flies, but that's actually taking, can you literally walk half-mile and get to a park? About 34% of the west side is currently within a half-mile of a park. So most of it is not at all. So the goal would be to get to 90% or above by the end of the life of the district, targeting 2052. And then poor would be not really getting, only getting to 60%. And then good, just split the difference.
And then parks by definition are, it's like any green space, like even if it's like county. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, does Post Canyons count as a park space?
I don't know if that would.
Okay.
That's certainly outside of the walking distance, but we do have Rutherton Park, and we got Morrison Park. Like all those are labeled as parks in here, even though they're not. Well, Morrison Park's city park, but we've got the county parks. We've got all parks listed in here.
Is that
Are the schools included in that?
Yes, I think I see West Side.
And I see the gray, but it like a, yeah, okay, yeah. So the middle school's right there, yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, that little jaggedy boundary on the very far west side, is that Stonegate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then there's also not just parks, but trail connectivity. So the goal would be to build all the trails identified in the transportation system plan by the end of 2052. And so we need to average about 475 feet of new trail every year in order to meet that goal. And that map shows all the trails, and some are, just the one through the school district property is completed. we'll get a few hundred additional feet of trail once Mariposa Village is built. So, yeah, sorry, 550 feet of trails per year would be the exception. Now, moving into transportation, which really I think is the catalyst that's going to spark the development, which is going to spark the taxable value increase, which is going to support the housing and parks investments. So this is very hard to see, but it shows all the transportation system plan identified roadways for needed on the west side. And so to build all of them, let's see, yeah, I think we need 400 feet per year by 20 to have all the parks built by 20. That should be 2052. Sorry for the slide. It says 2032.
Where's the Belmont extension?
Let's see.
That's a major one.
Oh, it's on the very low. Yeah, it's right. That would count too.
Okay.
But it's on the southern border. That's actually, we have to check and make sure that's, no, that's in the district.
It's in the west side plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna, I'll make sure that, yeah,
That'll
that's
be a
counted in
major
the
one
total.
because that's gonna be like essentially connecting Coast Canyon and Belmont together.
Yeah, good catch. I think that's a miss. Yep, so like the other ones, getting to fully built by 2052 would be the goal for being exceptional. We also wanted to look at safety, and this was a hard one to pin down a good measure. Specific to the west side, we could look, ODOT had crash data where we could draw a geographical boundary and just look at crashes just in the west side. So it was, this one was maybe a little bit out of our control. You can see the pandemic, just fewer people driving means less crashes. But it would be exceptional if through safety improvements, we could keep crashes down at that pandemic era level.
This one's hard for me too because we have so few people walking and biking there that has to come up with like the crash data does not support us getting money because our crashes are so low because not many people are walking or biking. So
Right.
yeah, it's a chicken and egg thing.
This one's going to be a challenge
Yeah.
because as we build more roadways too, there's
Yeah, the
more.
crashes go up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's hard, sorry, just another little anecdote to that. I think it's really hard as well as a pedestrian who walks that every day and tries to cross Cascade Avenue. And that's, yeah, it's hard to create some sort of data point that shows how many times as a pedestrian I near misses or you can't cross because you're waiting for 10 cars that go by that don't wait for you, like something like that. Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, any thoughts on crash data was the only thing that we could come up with.
I can tell you every time I almost get run over by a
okay.
car.
Yeah, the near
I'll
misses.
just send you a little email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge. For are you done with transportation?
Yes.
Okay, so transportation, I have one more
Mhm.
potential add as a metric is the west side school safe routes to school plan is about to be adopted by county commission and or city council because it's like it's like so many overlapping jurisdictions. And I think there's a good like 30 recommendations
Oh, okay.
for safe routes to school in that plan that lie in this boundary. So I can send you that
Oh, that'd be great.
plan because that would be a really easy metric to incorporate.
Yeah.
Like how many safe routes to school recommendations have we done?
Yeah, just like our TSP roadways.
Yes,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, excellent. That'd be great. Okay, then moving forward to equity, and this is really addressing, so a lot of good things about public investment, but kind of an age-old issue with urban renewal, and kind of a lot of people's mind of it is, demolishing of old buildings and people getting kicked out of inner cities and things like that. That's kind of a stigma that has kind of sticked around with urban renewal because equity wasn't front and center for many years. So we wanted to make sure that we were really tracking to make sure that we were continuing to be a place where you could live in Hood River, work in Hood River, and everyone had a place on the west side, even as it improved in its parks and its trails and its transportation access. So we'll be monitoring income distribution. This one's a little academic, so stick with me. It is the ratio of the average income to the typical income. And so, you know, an average of a population set can be skewed when you have really big outliers. So you can have a bunch of really rich people move to town, and that will move up your average income without even budging your median income or your typical income. And so looking at your average to your median will show you how incomes are distributed in the city. And so back in 2012, the average income was about 20% higher than the median or typical household income. And that has gotten up to now in 2024, the average income was 50% higher than the median income. So what that means is there's a population of very high income people relative to the typical in Hood River moving into town over those years. And then we also are looking at home ownership. This one also, there's no magic about this. It's just a kind of a real estate rule of thumb that having 65% owner occupied homes tends to, people think, create vibrant neighborhoods where people have roots, connections, they invest in their community. They're, you know, a little less mobile, and so right now, just looking at as an indicator, our best measure of it was looking at how many people received their property tax statement at the house that is being assessed property versus the property tax statement being sent to some second property, which would indicate it's probably an investment home. So that would suggest that about 43% of the homes in the west side are owner occupied right now.
How do you change that? I mean, the city council just has to pass a resolution that sort of specifies a percent of rental properties in a block or something like that?
No, so hopefully if we create, we improve housing affordability and attainability by increasing increasing supply, increasing smaller homes that are more attainable. Hopefully more people will be able, that will result in more people being able to buy. So basically, if we are successful, this is what it should look like.
But then, I mean, in theory, people who have the means to buy investment properties are still gonna be able to outbid people who want to buy a first home, right? So outside of like a regulatory hurdle for people to buy up what will be rental homes, and I don't know, it just seems like it doesn't really jive with
This
how
one,
capital is usually deployed.
yeah, this one could be one to remove. I think if I was going to remove one, it would maybe be this one because it's a little there's so many like you think different factors in play. You know, also seems like all else held equal, if home ownership is more attainable and there are more houses to buy, the investment would be less likely to crowd out the buyers themselves. But I agree, this is maybe one of the weaker measures. And then also this is one, be interested in your input, definitely different opinions on whether or not this is a good one or not. But you know, we've been seeing many years of declining school enrollment. And that's kind of always been a hallmark of Hood River, as we've been generally had much higher percentage of children than other counties in Oregon. I think Benton County is the only kind of median younger county than Hood River. And that adds, you know, a lot of vibrancy with young families. And hopefully if we, but that has been declining over time, just demographics in general, but also Hood River relative to the state of Oregon, as it becomes pricier and pricier. And households kind of in their formation years, which is in your earlier years, when you're starting a family and you're at lower income relative to what you're going to make through the rest of your life. That makes less able to put down roots in Hood River, and you end up going to cheaper places, and then you lay down roots there and you grow your family there instead of here. And so this is just monitoring and how we're doing relative, just the percentage of our population, 19 and younger, relative to the state of Oregon as a whole. And lastly, this is the only one measure that does not have an exceptional, good, poor, has no target. It's just monitoring for changes in the number of economically disadvantaged students, which is a proxy for households in the west side versus the rest of the city. And obviously we didn't want to set a target of we want a certain number of disadvantaged households, that there's a right number or a wrong number for that. So there's no target here, but we did want to make sure that we watch this and monitor it every year and make sure that there isn't, and just use it as kind of a red flag if something's changing quickly, to dig deeper and look at, are we doing something that's displacing economically disadvantaged folks? So that is kind of all the measures, and this is the dashboard, so to speak, of everything kind of right now on the west side being either in the red or the yellow. And then hopefully if we are doing our job right and putting money to good use, we start to get more greens, start filling up this table over the years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about our transit master plan, like in the west side?
Just how it relates to these metrics.
Yeah.
So Will reached out to me of how we could include public transit into this, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of bus stops on the west side. It's not necessarily here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Thanks for presenting.
Mhm.
And so you have a number of other presentations to go, and
Yeah, here's that. Presenting to the Parks Board tonight, and then the school district next week. And those are really the entities that kind of overlap in their goals with the goals that we're trying to achieve. So that's the ones I'm specifically reaching out for focused feedback. But I'm going to, on an annual basis, once these are set, report back to all the special districts on an annual basis.
Awesome.
And this is the, sorry, I'm looking at a map of the boundary. The black line is the boundary?
Correct.
Okay, that's why Belmont wasn't included,
Oh,
because it's right.
okay, maybe it's
Oh,
not.
maybe it goes right on that border.
I'll double
'Cause it
check
will,
it.
okay,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna send you the Safe Routes to School draft plan and highlight
Everything that's
the
in the boundary.
recommendations that are in the boundary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's great feedback.
awesome.
And stop sharing.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. All right, we are on to agenda item number 7, which is monthly financial. Yeah.
All right. In your meeting materials were the financial reports for July. Did anybody have any questions about those at all?
I like the grant tracker.
That's coming up next. I'm pretty excited about this one, so. Tamara, did you have any questions? I can't quite see you yet.
No, I, right now, there are no questions. I'm just, are the grants in the bank yet, or?
The grant reimbursements?
Yes,
That is a good question. We have started to receive a few of our reimbursements. I can tell you specifically in just a moment. I can peek at that to refresh on which ones we've received so far. The tracker that was included in the materials is for the fiscal year 23-25 biennium.
to show kind of the overall funds that were received and everything that was expended during that time. Going forward, we'll have a new tracker that will start with the new biennium with Q1. That will be in October, November.
We have not received all of our reimbursements from the last biennium.
No,
So the ones that we have not received is, I believe it was 5339 for the property purchase.
the property, yeah.
And then there is some 5310 funds we're waiting on, correct?
5310 and the 5339 are ones that are outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a concern for me on grants because that's what our budget, is based on. Where are we at with them? What's in the bank versus what are we still hoping for? So,
I did have one question. It was on, like, it seemed like fire and security was pretty high. It was like $3,600 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Is that?
Yes.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. We installed another security pad for out by the bus barn gate. Because
Okay.
what people were doing is there wasn't one there by the door, and people were using that big expensive gate. They were using their fob to open it when they
Okay.
were just walking through. And we want to try to save that gate as much as possible. And there's definitely use cases for the driver who might be switching out with another driver and they just need to go back to the bus barn. So
Okay.
instead of having them go all the
So
way
you
through the
said about a
building.
vehicle gate, just a person coded door.
The
Yes.
man door.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody have questions about the tracker? And do you find it helpful?
Yes, I did.
Great. And the hope here is also to kind of help show you on a quarterly basis how we're drawing down those grants too. And we're still working on how to format it, but the intent is to show us like if we're on track or if we're drawing too much on our grant, or if we're,
If there's
not,
extra
if
funds
there's
that
extra.
Are you allowed to draw too much on your grants?
Well, we can't draw too much over the total award, but they don't necessarily say we can only draw down a certain amount each quarter.
Okay.
could draw 2 million down in 1 quarter, then that's trouble. A
Okay.
lot of muffin baskets. Then my next update is for the fiscal year 25 financial audit. The auditors were on site and from the 4th through the 6th and completed their in-person review and have started sending the draft audit reports to us. So we will have them here presenting the audit. Hopefully it aligns with their schedule to be here next week.
I feel like I should make this clear on a personal video.
And there are no findings as of now.
Was somebody talking? Sorry.
Tamara, did you have a question? Or Lisa? Oh,
no, I'm good.
No, no questions.
Yes, as Amy said, there were no findings and no mentions in the audit report. So we had a great year.
Cool. Awesome. Good to hear. All right.
Any questions from anybody?
Well, just on the stiff side, it's just like a vague recollection of we had sort of a range of dollar amounts. I don't know if this is specific to stiff or if I'm just thinking of something else, but it was like 100 to 125% or something. Do you know what I'm talking about, Amy?
yes.
Does that reflect our outstanding reimbursements that we kind of budgeted for this moonshot 125%? And I don't know. Can you fill in the blanks on my incoherent statement there?
Yes, I can. So here on your grant tracker, it's just going to reflect what we actually received. And we typically, I think I haven't done the exact calculations of what we received. If it was like 100, I believe it was closer to the 100%.
Okay, and that's the total awarded, and so this is a really simple just kind of
Yeah,
Sorry.
moving forward, they have kind of changed how they do that for the stiff plan, and you aren't now for this current biennium, you aren't allowed to assume that you're gonna get 125 or whatever. They give you that number, and of course, that can change based on economics and the state employee payroll tax, what actually comes in, but it's just the forecasted amount by really smart people. And again, that's why we track it, and that's why we're creating these type of systems so that we can really have and provide you a really good snapshot of what we're looking at each quarter and where we are based on our expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tia. Appreciate that. All right, agenda item number 8's been removed.
Before we move on with that, I think I could have said this at the beginning, but I was just trying to figure out how to loop it in. The reason why I asked for the approval of the union contract to be removed is we're just not quite there yet with the union to be able to provide things for you guys to approve or not approve. So I'm still working with them, and our current contract is still in play, and hoping for an update in September.
I think you just like union negotiations. You just want to drag it out, be my guess.
Favorite.
Thank you for all your work on that. All right, item number 9, operations manager report. Jeff.
Okay, overall safety score, we are holding steady at 98. We had one crash, which I'll touch upon later on. Our speeding is relatively low. I know I say this every month, but we just have an awesome crew of drivers right now that are driving really safely. The score stayed the same with one minor crash. Percentage of over, I don't have to read that. July fuel costs increased by 0.16 cents per gallon. The DAR OTP is at 95.5%, slight increase.
What's DAR OTP?
On time performance.
Oh, what's DAR? Is it dial?
Dial ride. Okay.
Oh, can I ask one more
Noted.
question about that? The dial ride, is that available it's not available on the Columbia Gorge Express? Or,
No, it's only Hood River County.
but how do you do Cascade Locks?
So you could just book a dial ride, and if there's availability, then we can run to Cascade Locks, Wyeth, Fiento,
Okay.
anything in Hood River County.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Vehicle hours driven, we had 1,123. Vehicle miles driven, 34,339. Fuel cost was 21,117. Fuel cost per mile, 61 cents a gallon. Let's see, 0 formal customer complaints, 3 vehicle incidents, 3 customer incidents, 0 vandalism. The vehicle incidents, we had a dial ride, vehicle rear glass was shattered by a bike rack. Bike rack has been removed. It was one of our little racks was put on. It actually like tilted back and blew out the back windows. So we do not run that on that vehicle anymore. The arm of a front bike rack disengaged on the Columbia Gorge Express. The bike was not damaged. The Weekend White Salmon service vehicle struck the overhang of the Amtrak station building. Amtrak was notified. Additional training was provided for the driver. That was the one crash mentioned in the data. Customer incidents. A frequent problem passenger who was suspended from CAT services tried to board the city bus and was denied. A customer called and stated that the White Salmon bus did not stop at the park and ride in Bingen. We reviewed the footage, and it was determined that the customer did not appear to be waiting for the bus. They were actually not at the bus stop. A frequent rider made a complaint about the Hood River City bus not always stopping at railroad crossings on North 8th Street. No vandalism.
Did we do an investigation into that to see, look at the data, whether it was or wasn't?
Yeah, so it's a yield sign, so the driver
As the option.
Well, they have to slow down, but
Yeah.
they can't just drive through.
Okay.
Employee of the month, Brendan Jivery. Brendan is one of our newest drivers and has shown a willingness to help in any situation, as well as being a courteous and safe driver.
Just a story to go along with that. There was one night where I was here closing and we were trying to fix there was a bike rack thing that I was trying to fix. And Brandon, he was the last driver in and I asked him to help me and he just completely willing to delay his departure a little bit longer and helped me fix it. So I really appreciate it.
Was that the one where the glass shattered on the back of the bus?
No, that's not the one.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay, just a few comments on the ridership. So the dial ride continues to rise, which is awesome. I think again, it's due to the new software and also the expansion of having a DAR 2 and a wider range of areas that we can cover now. CG had an uptick in riders about 1,000.
Huge this past month.
Tons of Multnomah Falls riders will probably see another uptick with the PCT riders for when we get August's data. And then White Salmon had 93, which was a nice steady increase from the previous months, a little down from last year. And we had the highest boardings per hour that we've had in the last year, which is 6.54 per hour. Any questions?
It looks like it's mostly driven by the Columbia Gorge Express.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's another thing to just call out. I think that's one of the higher boarded rides per hour for the Columbia Gorge Express in July that we've had. Typically, we see that more in August, but to get that 10.10 boarded riders per hour in July is pretty big.
Yeah, I'm noticing that it's, every time I ride, it's like borderline full.
and we're still up on city as well, just not as dramatic.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Can I just ask one quick question? Sorry, it's a bit of a nerdy math question, but like the difference in fuel costs between May and July, just as like a percent, seems pretty aggressive. Sort of like a double of your fuel cost per mile. Is that?
Yeah, from
Elaborate on that?
61.
Yeah.
I can look into it, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't
Tia, do you have any additional
crunch the
insight?
numbers.
I'm looking at that right now, so.
Because you said fuel costs went up by
16 cents a gallon.
16% or 16 cents, right? So
And that's sort of, I guess, well,
Usually we see a different, so the fuel costs that we get, that isn't necessarily what was actually spent in that month. It's typically, it's what we were billed that
there can be
month.
some lag between months. or-
There is, it overlaps. The way Carson invoices us is from the last day of the following month to the 14th of the current month. And so it's staggering. And so since we're on cash basis, it's what was paid to them in the month.
Yeah, and if you sort of add July and May together and divide them by 2, it's pretty much the same as June and April. So, I mean, I was just curious. I'm not too concerned. Just- Sorry.
It's,
Okay, yeah, it's just
it's a
expensive.
That's a
good,
good question.
it's a good insight to kind of what we're spending on a per mile basis, but it's not necessarily the truest number because there's some variables there. All right,
all right. Well, Amy, you're up. We're on to executive director. report.
cool. Well, thank you. So the first item, legislation and funding update. So the intent is to update the board on the special legislative session that has been scheduled for August 29th, where an emergency transportation funding bill will be discussed. There is no action required for you guys as of now. I just want to make sure you're all aware about it. So as discussed in the last board meeting, and again, kind of going over this stuff again, but I want to just make sure everybody's in the loop. House Bill 2025, which was included a phased 0.2% increase over 5 years in the employee payroll tax rate that supports transit through the statewide transportation improvement fund, did not pass. So Governor Kotek called a special legislative session, and she's proposing a bill that will include a 0.01 increase for transit and other tax increases as well that will assist with the budget shortfall that ODOT counties and cities are currently facing. So what that will do, that will essentially double the statewide, statewide employee payroll tax that we receive. If this is approved, this will be very good for us. It'll allow us to weather the federal funding uncertainties that we're seeing, and delayed reimbursements without making service cuts. It will also allow us to provide dollar ride service on the weekends, which I get asked about on almost a daily basis. So that would be very good for our community. Without this 0.01 proposed increase, CAT will likely see service and program cuts within 2 to 3 years. If federal funding reimbursements stay consistent, that time will be decreased if we continue to see these federal funding delays. And as we kind of already chatted about, since the last board meeting, I was notified by ODOT that the reimbursement we had submitted for the property purchase across the street will be delayed, and we don't have a date yet for when that will be reimbursed. That is concerning because we were originally told we did have those funds available and could submit reimbursement for that. So that it just causes me a little bit concerned about future reimbursement delays and what else could be delayed that we're not aware of. The next big potential impact that is along those lines is we will be getting 2 new cutaways here in about the next month. ODOT has confirmed with me that there is money available in that fund. And they have not seen any issues with reimbursements for that fund specifically, or that grant. So I will continue to kind of confirm with them and check in with them before we accept those deliveries. And so we can weather this, but again, we can't take any more surprises. So any questions on that?
I just heard it's not very hopeful that she'll get that passed in this emergency session. Just for inside politics and
Yeah.
whether there's support there or not, doesn't seem like it is, so. But we're planning for other things. I know it's a delayed timing of hitting us, but
And
you never know.
sorry,
Go ahead, I'm done.
no, I was just, you said there's not a hearing beforehand?
I don't know. I
Okay.
haven't, I've heard that there should be, but I haven't heard when exactly
You
that
would
will
probably
be.
schedule it or notify the public on Wednesday
Probably.
or Thursday.
Or, well, hopefully not, but um,
That's
I-
been like the MO the past year. I think there's been 3 surprise hearings.
my intent will be to be there. And if anybody wants to join, just let me know. I'll let you guys know when I hear more.
Okay.
So any other questions on that? The next item is Hood River City and Upper Valley changes. We have a date. They will be changing on September. Well, the Hood River City route changes will be starting September 13th. The Upper Valley changes will be starting September 15th, and that's just because Upper Valley only operates Monday through Friday. My intent is to update the board on the status of the changes to these routes, and the request is that the board share this information with public as appropriate, but no other action is required at this time. So as you all are aware, we have been working on streamlining the Hood River City route and transitioning the Upper Valley deviated fixed route to a fixed route service only. Since the last update, we have released the feedback portal that riders can submit feedback and have attended several local community events to share information about the changes and answer any questions. Sarah has been a rock star on making sure everybody is aware. We've ordered and received the temporary signage that will be placed at the new stops. We have received confirmation from the city of Hood River that the curves will be painted by September 13th for the new stops that we are adding. And so we're on target, which is really great. The other thing I want the board to know is that when the Upper Valley is launched, it'll just be launched with the current bus stops. plus one bus stop across the street from our current Mid-Valley Market. And then we will be adding additional stops as approval is acquired by either the county or ODOT. This is a flag stop route, so that's the thing that we keep pushing out to the public. We want them to be aware of, that we are accepting flag stops where it's safe for our drivers to stop. We are internally working on providing a little bit more clarity for our drivers as to where those areas are that are absolutely not safe. Sorry, so that we can make sure that people understand where areas are that we cannot stop. Any questions on that? Okay. The next was the upcoming Gorge to Mountain season update. My intent is to update the board on the status of the upcoming Gorge to Mountain Express season. There is no action required of the board at this time. So a little bit of history. We received a federal land access program grant, or also known as FLAP, for fiscal years 23 through fiscal year 25 and 2021. However, that was pushed back to fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 28, and CAT was able to secure funding for the past 3 years through ODOT. I have been working with Federal Highways Administration since March to get the contract sorted for this upcoming winter service. Unfortunately, this process has been delayed due to staffing shortages and us needing to submit a scope change request. So we had to submit a scope change because the 2021 application requested funds to provide year-round service between Hood River and Government Camp. The amount awarded just wasn't going to cover that, wasn't even feasible. So our scope change is asking for a service very similar to what we provided last year. So allowing for a 7-day service and ensuring we can do night service as well, so that people can do night skiing. That is currently in process. I have submitted that, and we are still on target for that to hopefully go through before the start of the next season. However, with that being said, us being able to provide the service will depend on that scope change being approved. So I will let everybody, I'll keep everyone updated. I should know by the next board meeting. With that being said, we're still working on prepping for that service and doing everything we need to do to make sure we're prepared to start as normally in mid-December. So Mount Hood Meadows has agreed to commit $10,000 of match funds each year for 3 years in in-kind support. So thank you, Mount Hood Meadows. I appreciate that. And we are also pursuing increase of Gorge to Mountain Express fares. So this is a process that would include or requires 2 public hearings. That's not working very well. That will include 2 public hearings, and we're expecting that to begin at the September board meeting. Let me just
You want me to quit texting you over there?
sorry, our new phone system is all through Zoom, and it's supposed to not ring when I'm in a meeting, so I have to figure that out.
Did you see that recent, was it county commission that they all got nailed for texting during budget meetings?
Oh, man.
Breaking public meeting laws?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Don't do that.
Definitely not texting.
Not
It's
that good.
definitely a writer calling in. But yes, so those are the big things I want you guys to be aware of. I'll be keeping you in the loop more at the next board meeting. The other thing that I've learned since the last board meeting, when I was talking with FHWA, is that they are going to be releasing a grant application for within the next several months for the next round of this flat funding. But it's unlikely that they will allow for transit operations to be part of this request. in the next round of funding. So we're gonna have to, we'll
For
try to,
29 on, we're gonna need.
we're gonna have to figure out alternate funding sources. So that's what we're working on. Any questions on that?
Just in terms of the schedule, I guess, I mean, I think some of the feedback I heard from people last year, and I know that the value class is gonna start at 1 PM this year, is that right?
Yeah, it's starting earlier.
From 2 PM? I mean, people were frustrated that there wasn't a drop-off time that more aligned with when the value passes started, so that'd be my only feedback, to try to make sure there's a bus getting up there so people can hop off and ski right away.
That makes sense.
Amy?
Yeah.
And there has been kind of in the background some discussion about how the Gorge to Mountain is such a time drain. Has there been any thought of expanding or somehow providing support so that the focus for yourself in particular can be a bigger picture and not as focused on the Gorge to Mountain?
Yeah, so another thing, in addition to asking for an increase of fares, which helps with some funding issues, but also helps with some operational issues that we're seeing from people coming down the mountain. We have a couple of additional operational changes that we would like to make. We are doing research into, and basically the time spent on the Gorge to Mountain Express kind of spawns from operational issues that we see. So we're trying to figure out changes to those operational issues to reduce those problems. So some things that we're doing some research on as to if we can institute a reservation policy for this bus. That way buses do not get go over capacity, and we don't have as many angry riders communicating with our drivers, because we've always had a policy of first come, first serve. That's really hard to do when you have 50 odd people charging at a bus, trying to put skis in the back rack and all those other things. So we're looking in to see if we can institute a reservation policy. My understanding is that we should be able to, because this is a recreational service. So we're still doing some research on that. When we get a little bit more into this Gorge to Mountain Express preparation, we're trying to figure out ways where on Saturdays and Sundays, it's not just one field supervisor here in the office. That's typically how we operate on weekends. We only have one field supervisor. So if something happens, if they have to drive up the mountain because of whatever issue, then it's Amy and Jeff on phone calls or coming into the office to cover to make sure there's someone here in the office to address other issues. So we're trying to fix how we can get a second person on those Saturdays and Sundays. So if there is an issue, it's not necessarily calling people who would otherwise have the day off. Yes, and we've got a couple of other suggestions as well. So that's what we're gonna also bring to you guys.
Would that
the next
be, or your thoughts, is that be a scheduled person here all the time, or a person that's scheduled to be on call if they're needed to come in early?
We're still trying to figure that piece out. The field supervisors that work on Saturdays and Sundays, they do work long days. So we're trying to see if maybe we can have, another person here, and then they kind of go on standby at a certain point. And then if they need it, then they stay later, or they're available to come in as needed. Or maybe we have a second dispatcher. Those are all kind of the things we got to figure out. And whether or not we can have a second dispatcher or a weekend dispatcher kind of depends on the special session and what other kind of delays we're looking at.
Okay.
or funding delays. Yeah. But yes. So the intent is to, and it might, September meeting might be a little full, so it might be closer to the October meeting. We'll have a lot of these more sussed out
Because
and
of the audit presentation and stuff.
we might have come to you with these things at the October meeting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
All right, does the board have any other discussion items? Not hearing any, we'll go on to upcoming events. Any events the board would like to discuss? Okay. Then we're on to the last one, adjournment. Is there a motion to approve adjournment of the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, I like the timing of that.
There we go.
We got Matt and Tamara, a first and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. We are officially adjourned. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the speediness of the meeting as well, too.
Yeah.
It was great to
It
have
was
Bill
the
here.
union that you booted out.